Travis Wayne Goodsell. Time for tithing, magical or mathematical magic. Now, we'll start with this. As Mormons, they join the church or turn 8 and have to fork out 10% of their allowance and give it to the church for what's called tithing. The reason why it's 10% is because of section 119 of the Doctrine and Covenants. In verse 4, and after that, those who have thus been tithed shall pay 1/10 of all their interest annually. Now, Mormons who actually do as they are told and at least read, ponder, and pray about the scriptures come across this and go, interest annually? That isn't of our wage or my allowance. What's going on? And so then we go and we talk to the bishop and we say, aren't we supposed to be paying 10% of our interest annually? What is that? I'm not rich enough to have my own business of where I can therefore get an interest on my sales. And so leave it to President Ezra Taft Benson, who most likely clarified previous prophets back to Lorenzo Snow, who started this. But the bishop says that Benson clarified that nope, it's of your wage. So whatever you earn from your wage, you paid 1/10, 10%. Is it before or after taxes? Some will most likely say, is it gross, which is before taxes, whereas net is after taxes? Am I right on that? I always get confused on those. And so, let's do some math. Say that, for the sake of ease, a person makes $10 an hour, which should be normal. It's certainly not a burger flipping job. So, and then works a full-time job of 40 hours a week. And so $500 a week. So each paycheck before taxes is $1,000. And then for the month before taxes is $2,000. Not factoring in those months where you get an extra paycheck for third paycheck. Isn't there? I guess there could be. You'd have to get it on the first so that you can then get it. Could be. 52 weeks in a year. So 1 week is 500. So 52 weeks, 500. It's $26,000. Sound about right for how you're able to be a sole provider of the home? Because remember, women don't listen to my channel. So the family proclamation says that you, the man, are supposed to be the breadwinner. The woman is supposed to stay home, barefoot, pregnant, and be a master chef in the kitchen. If she was a master chef, I would hope she wanted to be a cook. Stay home and cook. That would be the awesomest. But so 26,000. Wow, that's a lot. That's before taxes. So how much do they take away in taxes? Is it 53%? So, let's not deal with taxes, shall we? And so for 1 month, you get $1,000. All right. So we have to pay for rent. The average rent in Utah, $1,000. Okay, so we subtract $1,000 from $1,000. That's zero. We're out of money. We don't have money for food. We don't have money for clothing. Definitely don't have money for the internet. Don't have money for a car, and the insurance, and the yearly registration, and all that. Wow, $10 an hour sucks, because we still haven't taken out taxes. But wait, I'm wrong. It's $1,000 per paycheck, so it's $2,000 per month. Why didn't you guys say something? So we have $1,000 because we're not paying our taxes. So we have $1,000. All right. Whew. So do you have a car? You do if you want the big $10 an hour job rather than the burger flipping job, because they require you to have your own car if you're going to get the bigger bucks. Ooh, hopefully it's more than 10. So we'll just, because you see where the dilemma comes in? See, food. You know, if you're going to have lobster for dinner every night, how much is lobster? What do you drink? Mountain Dew? You can go to Smith's and sometimes you'll get 4 for $5 or something like that sometimes. Do you see the dilemma now? Our government have caved to business and they're literally trying to create poverty. And as a result, people think that the poor are just lazy. I mean, this is $10 an hour before taxes. There's a lot less money left over from $2,000 for the month, not $1,000 for the week or paycheck. But yeah, I mean, how do you pay your paycheck? You have to set aside money in the bank, I guess, so that you can then buy food for those first couple of weeks, and then do another $500 for the next check, and hope you can get it in before and hope you don't have an emergency. Oh, wow, yeah, $200 for an ambulance ride, or is it $400 now with inflation after all these decades? Because I think my sister, when she got in her car accident way back in the 2000s, she had got a bill for $200 for the ambulance ride. So, not cool, but that's our economy. And nobody stands up and says, oh, hell no, we don't want this. Quit giving our tax money away to the corporations who don't bother to pass it on down or trickle it down on trickle down economics, not tinkle down. Might as well be tinkle down, because that's what they do to us. They tinkle it down. And so tithing, it's $200 a month. So wow, $200, leaving you with $800 for food, clothing, car, transportation, the insurance and internet service. Yeah. So, yet the church says that we'll be blessed for paying our tithing. Well, what do you mean by blessed? Is it just spiritual feelings? I feel better paying my tithing than eating for the month. My kids don't need to eat. And if you hear the conference talks and they try to justify it by giving an example of a father who refused to feed his family because he wanted to be honest and pay a full tithe so that he can be temple worthy, because yes, you are not worthy to enter the temple if you do not pay your tithing, a full tithing off of your income, not your interest annually. Because if it were interest annually, all of us who work at Burger King or McDonald's or Wendy's or Kentucky Fried Chicken with the A&W root beer with it, yeah, we wouldn't be paying tithing because we would be considered poor because we're not getting any interest to invest. Oh. Yeah, the church doesn't want that. Yeah, we got to keep the slaves going, and they got to keep paying us in their slavery. Uh-oh. Wow. Tithing used for slavery? Wow, that's magical. Mathematically magical. And so, yeah, the church uses tithing not to feed the poor and the hungry, the sick and the afflicted. Nope, that's fast offerings. Sorry, Malachi got it wrong. They quote Malachi at the tithing settlement, and yet that's not where it goes to. What do you think the storehouse means? It's not the church's coffers, so that they can build temples and publish Book of Mormons and invest 10% of our tithing into Ensign Peak Associates, where it's just sitting and collecting $7 billion in interest. They got $6 billion from their $40 billion portfolio last year. They profited off of coronavirus. Isn't that great? Church is so true. So, yes, they build temples. We're going to hear more temples announced. I noticed a pattern lately. They're trying to stick to 8 temples at conference. Maybe it'll go up this time. While Mormons are suffering, they're being enslaved by having to pay tithing because it's supposed to be for those who own businesses and are making interest off of their returns from all of the sales. Oops. And so they tell us that we're going to magically prosper. And you notice in those conference talks where they say they let their children starve to death because they want to be honest and with their dealings with God and pay a full tithe of their slave money. They always talk about people who just magically appear and give them food. You notice that? Does that work in all cases? Oh, maybe you weren't praying hard enough. Maybe you weren't quite so honest in your full tithe. You see what's going on here? They try to throw a guilt trip on you by saying that you should let your children starve with the $2,000 a month because you're supposed to be the breadwinner. You're making more than minimum wage. How can you get a better job than minimum wage? $10 more, or 10, which is $2.50 more than minimum wage. And so yeah, this is a pure evil that's going on. This is what the church is. You can't blame me. You know, you're still going to see thumbs down on this video because Mormons gonna hate. They don't understand. Nobody understands. And I'm the only one telling you. And that's why those of us who are ex-Mormon, wow, we get a 10% raise in our slavery. Isn't that great? It is, kind of, but we're still in slavery. You got to be your own boss in order to comply with tithing. And if you're a slave, tithing is not for you. You're not supposed to be paying tithing. That's why the church didn't want blacks. Didn't want them for the priesthood. Because they're slaves. They need that money to live. If you tithe them, you're going to kill off your slave work, your slave labor. So yeah. Another thing that you should know, July 8th, 1838, is one of the rare scriptures where Joseph Smith was not running for his life in jail, from prison. However, it was right before. See, when Heber C. Kimball was magically sealed to a third wife in secrecy, it wasn't Joseph Smith who sealed him. No one else had sealing power. Who's sealing Heber to a third wife? His second wife was before he joined the church. The third wife, I think it was 1842, not 1838, but still, this is what Joseph had to deal with. You had these hooligans who infiltrated your church, and they're secretly going around pillaging, plundering, burning the homes down of your neighbors, as the neighbors claim that it's you as the leader of the church. And so the cops are trained to, well, it's the militia and the governors and the courts, but they're targeting you for what the secret combination within your organization is doing. And you're trying to figure out who's doing this, who's in this group, who's the leader of this group. I think he found out in 1839 after this arrest incident. But no, Joseph never gave up on the law of consecration. So why is tithing all of a sudden being placed here? It was not put into Joseph's Doctrine and Covenants. The last one Joseph did was 1835, but I think it was put in for 1844. But let me check, because if it's not until the year before Brigham died, then we got a bigger controversy. So Doctrine and Covenants, Wiki, because too many LDS stuff dominates. There's a list of code names, which they didn't get all of the code names in the Doctrine and Covenants. But then you've got to ask yourself, wait a minute, if the Doctrine and Covenants is encoded and they didn't get all the codes in the Doctrine and Covenants, were there any other documents that might be encoded too? Like maybe the Book of Mormon? Oh, no, we don't talk about that, Travis. Okay, 1844, yeah. So right after Joseph Smith died, Brigham Young threw it in. I wonder why he threw it in right after Joseph Smith died. Maybe he wanted tithing to pay for his mansion before he then started the United Order, I think it was called. And so, yeah, this foul play is all over the place here. And so, when you see interest annually, and then you see Lorenzo Snow all of a sudden bringing it up, and he says, "You guys haven't been paying your tithes." What? No, they were doing the United Order. The United States shut you down. You had to rent the property back, which put you deep in debt. This wasn't a matter of the church wasn't paying tithing. It's because you were a criminal organization that got caught, got busted, got shut down by the United States government. And so Lorenzo Snow is now accredited with the protection racket of tithing, which is called fire insurance by all Mormons. But Mormons are getting burned even though they're paying a full tithing. Oops! That's what a protection racket is. No guarantee of a return on your investment. Just like gambling.